Trying to
He
take a
was about to
selfie.
take a selfie of us,
Okay.
so you guys just can watch us as we take this selfie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we want to put that all over Twitter.
We
so folks
need
can
to
come
put it
join
on the
us.
internet. Thanks so much for joining us. As I mentioned on our morning show, this is all Obama this morning here on Fox 10 News Now. President Obama is scheduled to speak at Central High School at about 10:45 a.m.
Yes.
We're starting early because you never know with Obama. Sometimes he
Correct.
shows up early, sometimes he shows up late. So it's better to be early, right?
Yeah.
The early bird catches the worm.
We had
they
heard,
say.
in a situation like this, you hear a lot of different people saying different things,
Right.
and we had heard that he might be running a little bit early, and it might be closer to 10:30 as opposed to 10:45.
Yeah, because I know we already saw earlier. Mayor Stanton had already gone and spoken, to the crowd over there, and that was at like 9:50.
Correct. They had the a cappella group singing the national anthem.
They
and
did.
everything else.
And let's take a live shot. Let's see what's going on over at Central High right
Let's do
now.
that.
So we can see them. I mean, it doesn't look like much is happening right now. I know I just saw all those people. They just placed all those people in
Right.
those seats behind the podium.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure who those people are, but
Right.
they're there.
We were actually having a little bit of a debate earlier
Mm-hmm.
if what we had seen quite a bit earlier during the 9 o'clock hour was more of a dress rehearsal
Oh.
than anything else. Everybody kind of practicing their parts, because only right when we signed off the air and I came over here to join you on YouTube, only at that point did we see them actually bring in
All the other,
the group of people that are going to be sitting up on the podium with them.
right.
So that could have been a dry run.
So you're saying that Mayor Stanton might come out again and give the same pep talk? I don't know, because he was really passionate. I believed him, and
Yeah.
I don't know. It was.
Well,
really-
that might have been the one go for him. I don't know, but you would sure hope that those kids, the 8 kids who were selected to sing a cappella, that they actually will get a chance to actually perform for the president,
Right.
which is what they were so excited about. We talked with some of them yesterday, and they were
Really.
beside themselves and hoping to get some pictures with him.
Yeah, I mean and the opportunity to see the president is an amazing. It's an amazing opportunity.
Sure. Yes.
For anyone, and obviously as a teenager, I think it's even more exciting because
Mm-hmm.
when you're young, you're not jaded yet. You're just really excited about everything, and I feel like this is like that kind of moment, that opportunity to just, I don't know, get a little excited. So obviously, we're gonna go back to this live photo when we actually see something going on. I do want to go to this other video from earlier. This is President Obama's motorcade leaving the Point Hilton this morning. We've been following Obama. We thought he was going to go, there were reports that he might stop at the VA hospital.
Right.
As far as we've heard, he did not stop there. That was a concern of some people. People were protesting because of all the issues at the VA hospital last year.
It would make
with
sense that he
unexpected
would go
death.
there.
Right.
It's so
and,
close, you could walk there.
Yeah,
in
it's
just a few
right
minutes.
there. And
Yeah.
people have spoken out. McCain spoke out. People really wanted President Obama to go there. As far as we know, though, he did not go there. This is the motorcade leaving, I think somewhere between 9:30, 9:45, I want to say,
Yep.
is when we captured this video.
That's about right.
So you can see, there's so many vehicles that travel with President Obama. It's just like, it's a lot.
Yeah. Now it's interesting because we can get back on some of our ADOT cams and eventually get a chance to kind of track his movements the next time around. But we did at least learn where it was that he went when he was shooting down the 51.
So where was it?
He was headed to a housing development. I believe it's called La Villa Nueva.
Right.
And, in an area there about Baseline and Central, or maybe around 2nd Avenue.
Right.
Because he has other government officials with him. And since the whole visit today is supposed to be about housing, to go to a HUD, Housing and Urban Development
Right.
neighborhood, and get a chance to see people there could have been a plus for the president, just in terms of personalizing the story. So it's not just
Right.
he came into town, he gave a speech, and he left, but he maybe went into a neighborhood where people have been benefiting from some of these programs.
Right. That's interesting. That was something that they just decided this morning. We didn't know about this.
Correct.
surprise visit, I guess you could say, earlier today.
And so you don't know exactly how all that decision making goes down, but I'm sure there was some sort of a briefing this morning where, think about the things that are on the president's plate right now. You've got all these new terrorism concerns in Europe.
Right.
So he has to have daily meetings no matter where he is with his national security team. But at the same time, they're going to be mapping out the day. And somehow it was decided, apparently just this morning, that the president would go to this housing subdivision all the way in that neighborhood south of downtown Phoenix. And that's why when we were watching him earlier go right down the 51, he did not take that. We knew it was early.
Right.
We thought he was headed to the VA hospital, but it looks like, in fact, he was headed to someplace completely different.
Right. Yeah. So I guess those protesters will be upset. I don't think they're going to be happy, especially if they heard the rumor that Obama was actually going to come. It's like you get your hopes up and then he's not there. But, he does have a very specific agenda during this trip.
Right.
And, I talked about it yesterday. This trip, it's a 3-day trip. He was in Detroit yesterday. He's here in Phoenix today. Tomorrow he's going to be speaking in Tennessee. And it's all really focusing on some of the things he's going to talk about in the State of the Union address January 20th. And I think everything he's addressing are new policies, and he has a very, positive spin on all of these things that are benefiting the economy, whether it was, job creation out in Detroit or here, talking about opportunities for more people to buy homes.
Yep.
And then tomorrow he's going to be talking about education. And I'm just wondering if, because it has this very, positive sort of presidential agenda, this trip, if going to the VA hospital kind of detracts from the whole, look at everything we're doing, feel of this whole trip.
Correct. He wants, visits like this are important for scoring PR points as well. There's a huge expense, a lot of time involved in a presidential visit, and he's come out here seven trips already and probably has a couple of more before he's done with his presidency. And Arizona is a state that the president's party lately has not been able to win. And they certainly would like to add it to the Democratic column in 2016, even though he won't be on the ballot, whether it's Hillary Clinton or someone else. So they probably do want to stick to the talking points and stick to what the agenda is today and not bring up what many people feel was one of the deeper scandals to affect his administration.
Right. Yeah. So, that's the thing. It's like, if he did stop here and he did go there, I feel like all of the press attention, all the articles that were coming out of this visit would really focus on that.
Sure.
Versus the message that they want to send.
I think you're right about that.
We got the press release yesterday. I have some papers here.
Yeah, you do.
Lots of papers.
Big stacks on
me. Yeah, this is all from yesterday. I have a lot of notes. But this is the official press release from the White House that we got yesterday, where they basically told us what the president's plan was for today, what he's going to announce. He's basically going to announce the lowering of the mortgage insurance, the PMI. When people get FHA loans, they actually have to pay mortgage insurance.
Right.
And he's going to lower it half a percentage point from 1.35% to 0.85%. So it translates into about a $900 savings a year.
For the average homeowner. That MIP, it is a pain.
Yeah.
The reason it's on there is when you get an FHA loan like this, you come in with a very low down payment.
Exactly.
And so the person who's the group or the entity that's putting the mortgages out there, they want to make sure they have some sort of insurance that, gosh, if somebody only put 3% down or 5% down, we want to make sure they don't walk away from the loan. So that pays into that pool that helps to insure all these mortgages.
Sure.
Well, now you consider what's happened to the housing market since the crash. Everybody's much more comfortable with where housing is now. It only makes sense that at some point that number of 1.35, they ought to be able to bring that down.
Because what's interesting is even that, where did I read? I think the average, I don't even know if it's in here or it was something else that I read, but the average is typically 0.55%. So even the 0.85, even the 0.85 is higher than what they typically had seen historically. Obviously, that increased because of the housing crash in the 2000s. So
and what's interesting about it too? This is not a decision that the president can just wake up one morning and say, "I hereby lower it." Right? I mean, it has to go. It has to go through
Right.
all of the processes that they have.
Right. These are all just presentations right now.
Correct, but he's going to be the one getting the credit for it. Hey, Obama came to town and he lowered my.
But but it hasn't even happened yet.
Correct.
And what happens if it? I don't know. Someone stops it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm sure by this point it's definitely in the cards, but it's a good point. I mean, they could continue to bring it down. You think about how, as gas prices have dropped, do you remember what you paid for gas the last time you bought gas?
$189.
Okay, now that's a good price.
That's really good. I mean, I'm lucky. I live right next door to Costco.
Oh, okay, good.
And Costco gas is always
Yeah.
very reasonable.
But think
yeah.
about how much more money that's putting in people's pockets.
That's
and
amazing
helping
because
the
I
economy.
was thinking about it. I'm like, it's $1.90 a gallon. I remember maybe a year ago filling up gas in LA, and I swear,
$4.
it was probably about $4.50. So 2.5 times
Yeah.
what I'm paying now.
Right. And we haven't seen the last of that either, because oil is at, I could check it for us right now, but last I looked, it was at around $49.10. They said when it dropped below 60 that it was going to be a hardship on the American oil industry because it's so expensive to bring it out of the ground here, not like in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And I don't want to go too far down on this particular tangent, but the bottom line is the price of oil keeps dropping. The price at the pump is going to keep dropping. 189 in a few more weeks, it's going to be substantially lower than that. Because as you watch this price of oil, it ought to get into the 150 or 160 range.
I can't believe you with that. That's too exciting for me.
So I mean, when I first went on Facebook like 3 months ago and said, "You watch, we're going to see 199 gas,"
And people were like, "No
all
way."
over me, Hooner.
Well, you know how I found out about the 199 gas at first? We actually had an article on fox10phoenix.com, and I remember reading it. I was at home, and it was like there's one gas station in the valley where you can actually get gas under $2, because there were a couple places in the country where that was the big story.
Right.
And then after this one gas station lowered their price to $1.99, everyone else started doing it. And then $1.99 became $1.95 and $91. You know what I mean? I think the lowest in town, I actually have Gas Buddy. I'm going to pull up Gas Buddy right now because it's dropping every day.
And while you look on Gas Buddy, I'll just tell you, I called that very station because I needed to confirm it, because we were going to be mentioning it on the air that we finally can confirm a 199 gas.
I
know the very one you're talking about at 20th Street.
Can I just show the viewers this right now? What does that say?
Look at that.
That's
this
insane.
morning. Where is that? Where's
that's
happening?
the Arco on 16th Street and Thomas Road, but also Circle K on Buckeye and Central. Those are the two that have 179 that are at least near us in downtown here. Obviously, Gas Buddy only really searches within the region, but if it's 179 down here, I'm sure there are other parts of the greater Phoenix area where you can find 179.
So you don't doubt me anymore with the 150, 160 bit, do you?
I guess. Well, I mean, this is still 170. Okay, you're right. But this is what's funny is that every time I see gas prices lower, I wanted to go to the gas station and fill up more. The problem is I haven't used up all my gas yet, so I just kind of want to drive around so I can go to the gas station and fill up again, because I was calling home when I was filling up my whole tank for $25. I imagine
over to California?
Yeah, because when I was just home this past weekend, and I'm in Fresno. I wasn't even in LA where it's substantially higher. Fresno is relatively cheap for California standards, and it was like $2.40 something. And I'm like, oh my God, Mom, this is so expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas normally when I go home to Fresno, I'm like trying to fill up as much gas as possible because it's so expensive in LA.
Right.
But,
but the whole reason we're talking about it is, so that's a lot more money in people's pocket.
Right.
This reduction of the MIP, of the mortgage insurance premium, they're saying on the average homeowner, it's going to save them around $900 a year.
Right. I mean,
and so that's another $85 a month in your pocket on top of lower gas prices. It's only going to help.
And that's just on the average mortgage. I mean, it really depends on, how large of a loan you have.
Right.
Ultimately, but I think they're saying the average loan is about $250,000. And I guess these lower premiums will create opportunities for 250,000 new homeowners to purchase a home over the next 3 years. So by lowering the PMI, more people will have the income necessary to qualify, I think, for the home that they want.
How about that? Now, there's an interesting number. More than 800,000 borrowers who have the FHA loans are going to take advantage of these lower rates in the first year. So there's close to 1 million people that are going to, as I say, have another 70, 80, 90, even in some cases $100 a month extra in their pocket.
So this is something that Andrew and I were talking about yesterday when this press release first came down. Is this going to apply to people that currently have an FHA loan, or is it only to new borrowers? Because, reading the details of this, it says, for the typical first-time home buyer, this reduction will translate into $900 reduction.
Mm-hmm.
Existing homeowners who refinance into an FHA mortgage will see similar reductions. So I'm wondering if this is saying, if you have a normal, conventional loan,
mm-hmm.
if you then refinance into an FHA, you'll get the lower rate. But
right.
what if you already have an FHA loan?
Right.
Can you
I would think so. I would think it would affect it. It ought to affect
it
everybody
should.
who's got
Principally, it should.
Correct.
But I don't think we've gotten that question answered
right.
officially.
They are a little bit nebulous in the.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny because the White House came out with this. How many pages? It's 9 pages, right? 6 pages.
6 pages.
Without specifically answering that question, but the number is fixed, and so. The interesting thing about mortgage insurance premium is that once, at least this is the way it was in the past, once the value of your home rose to where you were considered to have 20% equity, then you could get the MIP off completely.
Right. So it is still that 20% equity, but as of right now, it's just 20% of what your
correct.
Loan value is.
Yes.
I think
so with
year, that though, if you refinance it and your home value has gone up, do you think the PMI would go away? Because, for example, let's say you bought a $250,000 home a few years ago, or that was, that's how much it was worth, and housing has gone up.
Sure.
That $250,000 home could now be $340,000.
Correct.
$350,000.
Right.
Well, if you consider that and you refinance it based on that, then I feel like without actually paying, you have made up that difference.
Here's
20%. I'm just speculating here, guys.
Correct. But let me just tell you, the onus is not on the mortgage company.
Right.
To suddenly call you up one day and say, hey, we
want
to take.
It's our responsibility as homeowners.
We're not going to take the MIP. We are going to take the MIP off. You have to be aware of whether it's through Zillow or some other site, or your next door neighbor just sold his house and you know how much they sold it for.
Right.
If you're aware that, as you say, your house is now worth $340 and you paid $250 for it, you ought to be able to get a hold of your mortgage company and not even worry about MIP anymore. Say, I'm now at 20% equity and above, and I want that MIP off of there next month. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a pain to have to pay.
I think any extra payment that you're paying that doesn't go towards your principal is a pain. You're already paying insurance over the 30-year
Right. Do you always
period.
pay a little bit extra?
I don't.
Don't you?
I
Somebody,
don't.
I got to get you on that.
I don't. I just pay exactly the mortgage payment.
Okay, yeah.
But I actually do have PMI.
So.
I have a FHA loan for my house in Fresno. So yeah. So I know a lot about this topic. That's why I was getting so passionate, because I was like, wait a minute, if their PMI is lowered, does mine get lowered too?
Yeah.
So
it should.
It should. I'm just requesting that from you, President Obama, please. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk about it a lot here until you do something.
Hey, so what's going on out at Central High? Now we are approaching 10:30, and all those reports that maybe the president would go a little bit early don't seem to have really panned out.
Let's go over there.
All quiet out there, isn't it?
Everyone's sitting so patiently, they're just sitting there waiting for President Obama. I still haven't figured out who those people are behind there. Maybe they're just people who were selected at random to sit behind the president, kind of show their support.
Yeah, there would be an interesting story to do to see how these people are specifically selected. But, this is a long day for a lot of the people. Andrew was out there live starting at 4:30 this morning. We go on at 4:30 every morning on Fox 10.
I do, but I'm asleep.
Would it be too much of me to ask for you to start getting up at 4:30?
I think so, because that's really early, and I already have to be at work till 5 in the evening, 6, and that's already a really long day.
I heard that.
But if I'm awake, then I'll watch.
But Andrew was there at 4:30, and there were already people getting in line at 4:30 in the morning, and by 6 or 6:15 it was really busy. So most of these people have been up since probably 4 or 5 this morning, and they have been in that auditorium. They were letting them in at about 8 o'clock this morning, and here it is 2.5 hours later. So the day can kind of drag on. Now, obviously you appreciate the fact that they've got to go through all types of security measures. So they want to make sure that everybody's in and the place is completely secure. But I'm sure they're all wondering, well, where in the heck is the president? Well, the president, at last check, was at a housing subdivision south of downtown Phoenix. But eventually we'll be there. And I would bet by now he's probably on his way back up.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, it's 10:27. He is scheduled for 10:45. The other thing that we do know about President Obama, though, is that sometimes he's late. You know, yesterday we actually covered his speech in Detroit, and he was supposed to speak in Detroit, I believe at 1:45 Arizona time, and I don't think we started until about 2:25, 2:30. So he was at least a half an hour late over in Detroit. I actually do have sound from Obama from his Detroit visit that I want to pull up for our viewers. Just so yesterday, you know, we mentioned it earlier. Yeah. President Obama was talking about job creation, the manufacturing industry. He was at Ford yesterday in Wayne, Michigan. Let me just get that ready for you guys. This is
Well, and as you say, it's just one of the many topics that he's going to be hitting on. The State of the Union will be here before you know it.
Right.
So, you know, and that's one that the administration really can take some pretty strong credit for. I mean, the rebound in Detroit is, even though people didn't like the kind of the heavy-handed way they first came in, trying to call all the shots out of Washington as opposed to Detroit. You certainly can't argue with a turnaround of the American auto industry.
Right.
And so if they can have the same kind of success in the housing field, that'll just be that'll be another success story to pass along.
Right. So I do have this. Yep, I do have it ready now.
Thanks to the steps that we took early on to rescue our economy and to rebuild it on a new foundation, we are entering into the new year with new confidence that America is coming back.
Well, all right, so there you have it. I mean, that's just a little, you know, a brief portion of his 20, 30 minute long. I mean, I don't want to call it a pep rally, but it really felt that way. It really felt like he was trying to just, you know, get people's spirits up and high and excited about what the economy has in store in the future, what he plans to do or claims he's going to do over the next 2 years. You know what I mean? It was a very positive sort of spectacle.
It's up to us in the press to ask the hard
questions.
There
is no doubt.
There he is again.
Thanks to the steps that we took early on to rescue our economy and to rebuild it on a new foundation, we are entering into the new year with new confidence that America is coming back.
Yeah, we just wanted to play that for you guys again, just to show you how excited, how serious President Obama is about, you know, what he's done for the economy, what he's done during his administration, and also what he plans to do. One of the things he did talk about was the importance of apprenticeships. Specifically, he had some statistic. I have it in my notes here from yesterday, lots of notes. But he had some stat about how 87% of people who have an apprenticeship will have a job after their apprenticeship ends.
Really?
With an average salary of $50,000. This is according to President Obama.
Okay.
His speech yesterday. And so he was really trying to emphasize that because he didn't want people to feel like they had to go to a 4-year college to be successful.
Well,
you know?
Goodness.
Because you don't some people don't necessarily have the grades or the money to do that.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go do that to be successful is what he's trying to emphasize.
You know what's so funny about that is, so it was in the 70s when I went to school, when I went to college. I was looking at it with my kids the other day, who were kind of college age, and 1 credit hour that's how much I paid for an entire semester. This is only 1 generation ago. So, and that's to a great university, the University of Washington, up in Seattle. And so these college costs are completely out of control.
And it's continuing to go up. I mean, it's gone up a lot in the last few years even.
Correct.
So it's not even like from the 70s until now. I'm talking about from the 2000s until now.
Yeah.
In a decade, it's gone up. I mean, some schools have gone up, I think, 10,000 a year.
Sure, because it became so much more standard for people to get student loans. That was not that common just one generation ago. And you're like, oh, well, the cost keeps going up. What am I, the student, supposed to do? Well, you go out and get a college loan, but then the next thing you know, you graduate and you got 50,000, 80,000, 100,000 in debt, and it takes you so long to pay it off. And unfortunately, just the way that debt has been loaded onto this generation of college kids is going to slow the economy down. I already heard a statistic just the other day of how that's impacting housing. Because when you have that much debt on you already, you can't take on what would otherwise be the traditional debt you'd take on, which would be a mortgage.
Right. And which is what we're talking about here today.
It all comes back to it.
You know, we're actually getting some we're getting some YouTube comments here. Let's see what we have.
Okay.
Pippin3366, you guys are doing a great job. Love you guys. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you, Pippin.
Thank
we love
you,
you
Pippin.
too. Magforce16. Question, why is he speaking to high school students about housing, and why wouldn't he give our vets the decency of at least acknowledging them in the VA issue? Okay.
That's a really great
I mean, that is a good question. I think, well, first, I think with the high school students and the housing issue, I think now's the time probably to get the idea of housing into the minds of students because, you know, there's so many articles out there about how, you know, millennials, quote unquote, I guess my generation, they're not into the whole buying a home concept. It's about renting and being able to be mobile and not wanting to accumulate that debt. And maybe, I'm speculating here, President Obama is trying to plant that seed so that people can start thinking about the future. I mean, granted, it's not just high school students that are there. The speech is at Central High, but it's a lot of members of the public who did line up a couple of days ago just to get that ticket to get in and watch him speak. So, I mean, it's all types of people out there.
There's that, and then there's just also the practical, logistical aspect of it, which is you've got to get yourself into, you know, from security's sake, you have to be in a secure facility. So that means you're dealing with indoor facilities,
right?
And yet you have a lot of people that want to see the president, so it would make sense to go someplace where there would be a large enough auditorium, and yet you already have sort of the infrastructure in place of a high school. So a lot of times the president will go to a school, and generally to high schools. It is a chance to kind of outreach, you know, to future voters.
Right.
But at the same time, you have kind of a built-in crowd there. And an opportunity to maybe do some interacting with the students. So even if the topic was something completely different today, even if the president was here to talk about Social Security or immigration or VA, think about all these issues that are so major. They all have Phoenix tie-ins.
Right, so you just mentioned the VA. That was one of the specific things mentioned in this question. Why wouldn't President Obama give our vets the decency of at least acknowledging them and the VA issue? Well, right now we don't know if he's not going to. He might mention it.
Right.
We don't know what he's going to say in the speech. We do know he's going to talk about housing.
Yeah.
He could mention, he could still mention this VA hospital. We don't know. As far as we know, he didn't stop by there, but it's why he could always go after, too. I mean, it's not like he's trying to catch a flight. He's on Air Force One. The Air Force One leaves when President Obama wants to leave.
It's not like he's trying to catch a flight, Samia. That's so true. But but I think it would be a huge feather in his cap if he were to do this very thing.
Right.
Because take a look at the number of veterans that we have here in Arizona, and there's some real outrage about it. I mean, the length of time that it takes people just to get an appointment, just to get in to see a doctor, just to get some medical care is still a real question mark for people. So, yeah, you know, and I heard somebody say, you know, if he were to come by here and take a look for himself at how bad it is or what the problems are, well, that's never going to happen. You know, if the president's coming in, they're going to roll out the red carpet. They're going to make it look like $1 million bucks. So he's not going to see that. Nevertheless, he would still be in that facility. And I remember years ago, one year, did I ever tell you this story? One year for Christmas, I had my kids come downtown here because the VA medical facility is pretty close to the TV station. And we went over there on Christmas morning, and we bought up like pairs and pairs of fluffy socks. I called the nurses. I'm like, what would the guys want, you know? And she said they seem to really love warm, fuzzy socks. So we went through with our kids, and we went into room after room. We said, hey, we got a little Christmas, we tied them up with a little bow, and here's a Christmas present for you, these warm, fuzzy socks. And these were the coolest people. I mean, I remember talking with a man who was on the beaches of Normandy on D-Day. You know, and he was very old at that point, you know, and bedridden, but he had served his country, and he was so proud to get a chance to tell somebody the story of his life, and you know, the day the invasion launched at Normandy. We have got to take care of our veterans,
right.
One way or another. We've got to, and for the president to be right around the corner and to take, even if it only took an extra half hour. He's got that time in his day. It would be such a great thing. Now you have
more questions.
These people that are how are they reaching
They're talking
us?
to us on YouTube.
So you go, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can message us.
There is a full chat on the sidebar as they're watching us live.
Okay.
And we're getting some of these messages sent to us.
Should we answer Alfredo?
Yes, Alfredo Pacheco Jr. Yes. I missed the first 15 minutes. Where was the president going so early?
Okay, so he was going to a housing subdivision that is tied into the government through housing and urban development, called, I believe it's called La Villa Nueva, down there around, say, about Baseline and Central, maybe 1st or 2nd Avenue, kind of right in that area, because he has the housing chief with him. So this was an opportunity to highlight what was going on, and actually, I imagine, meet with individual homeowners right out there at this Nueva Villa.
We just pulled up, I guess, the note that the White House sent us. Nueva Villas at Beverly Single Family Housing Development, which is owned by a local nonprofit organization, Chicanas por la Causa. I really butchered my Spanish. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. You got it just about right there. But see, so they got $2 million in federal funding over the last 4 years to redevelop this subdivision, and so prior to that, it says it had 25 vacant lots and weeds and garbage.
Yeah.
So the next thing you know, it's turned into homes.
Right, and obviously homes that are made to be affordable.
Exactly.
So I think that's the whole goal of today, to show people that you can buy a home. You might think that you can't buy a home, but President Obama's here to tell you how you can.
Right. So thank you, Alfredo. That was a really great question. Let's see who else.
MLO22. Does the PMI assistance cover existing homeowners with an FHA loan? That is something that we were talking about earlier. That was my concern. Whether pre-existing FHA loan, borrowers can, or, if their mortgages are affected. I don't know. I don't know if their loan.
Here, can we do this kind of thing? Can we get on the phone here? I'm going to call somebody in the newsroom.
Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to show our viewers what's going on at Central High so they can see.
Do you think you could call any one of the mortgage contacts that we know to ask if, in fact, this reduction of the mortgage insurance premium is not just for new homeowners, but is for people with existing loans? Okay. She's going to check on it and then... Okay. So we're going to get a little bit more information about that, because that is a specific question.
Right.
You got to make sure we answer.
And I know Andrew, our reporter Andrew Hasbin, is out there. And I had him up here earlier. We were talking about the same thing. He claims that someone is going to ask the president about that today. I don't know necessarily, because, watching the president yesterday in Detroit, it was just a speech and then he walked off. I don't know. I don't necessarily think this is the Q&A with the president. So I'm still wondering whether we're going to get that answer from him or not. We are going to go speak to Andrew a little later. He's going to have reaction from the crowd after President Obama's speech, so we're going to go talk to him a little later. And
but that's kind of the, that's the sort of instantaneous reaction. It was great to see him, and you expect those kind of responses. But we got to dig into it too. You're right. We got to go see if we can't get. I mean, this is a very specific question, and hopefully we can get an answer to. That's IMLO. 22. A lot of people watching you on YouTube. Because we're on here every morning after the show. We're on here every morning, and every morning we have different things to show our viewers. Obviously, yesterday and today, a lot, like I said, a lot of Obama coverage. But, it's a big deal having President Obama come to town. He hasn't been here since August 2013. Yes.
And, everyone's excited. Yesterday we were speaking to, people over at the Point Hilton because there was so much speculation that he was going to be staying there, but we didn't know yet.
Right.
And there was just that excitement over there, I think it was Linda Williams spoke with the restaurant owner, I believe.
Oh,
there,
yeah.
And she was so excited in that
was
interview.
It enchiladas? I think?
Yeah, she really wanted President Obama to come and eat the enchiladas there. I don't know the verdict. Maybe someone will have to make a phone call to see if President Obama ate there. But he, it was cute about her interview. She had a box of Obama O's cereal with her during the interview, just to show her
I
excitement.
remember one time when President Bush came here, President George W. Bush, and he went to a place that's pretty popular Mexican food place out there at about Indian School and 40th Street called the Teepee.
Teepee, spelled like
the Teepee restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah. And boy, I mean, it was on the map.
Well, that's the
after a
thing.
presidential visit.
Anytime you hear about, a president or any sort of public figure going to a restaurant, the first question is, what did they eat? You want to know what they ate.
I know.
And then you almost want to order what they ate.
I know.
Because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm eating what the president or, whoever,
Right.
Jay-Z, I don't know, whoever is eating. Just depends what you're into.
Speaking of famous people, it looks like Tiger Woods is coming back to the Phoenix Open.
Oh,
So
really?
We'll see what his favorite eateries are here in town. Tiger Woods, who hit the most famous golf shot of the history of the Phoenix Open, and that's a tournament that's been played for decades and decades, was a hole-in-one that he hit out there. That famous thing where he's like,
the photo,
yes,
yeah.
Right? But it looks like he's coming back now, and so that'll be something that is subject to...
oh, no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the president announced major new step that the administration is going to make mortgages more affordable and accessible for credit-worthy families.
So that's kind of...
They are going to reduce the mortgage insurance premium by 0.5%. Yeah.
Yeah, down to 0.85. This is the thing that we're seeing right here, though. This highlighted part is making me worry because this reduction in premiums will produce an average savings of $900 annually for all new FHA borrowers. Does that word new mean that it's only for people that haven't bought a home yet? And does that mean people like myself will have to continue paying the 1.35 and as well, that might answer Low 22's question.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad, President Obama.
We don't want to make Sonia sad.
I know. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah, it seems like something could be done for the existing homeowners, for the existing mortgage.
I think it's only
right?
fair. I mean, I get it. The whole goal of this is to get more people in homes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the whole point of this. And obviously, if you already have an FHA loan, you're already in a home.
Right.
So maybe that defeats the purpose of what the president is trying to accomplish. But I think ultimately, not only are you trying to get people in homes, but it's I think anyone wants to be able to save money, whether you have a home or not.
Right.
You want to be able to, lower your payments. I don't think anyone enjoys paying the PMI. It's just throwing away. I mean, it's insurance. You're just giving away money. None of it's going towards your principal.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting some messages on Twitter. I want to see if any of these have to do with, what we're talking about here.
Well, it does say the lower premiums will create opportunities for 250,000 new homeowners to purchase a home over the next 3 years. So it does look like, there's actually not a lot of talk about.
We do have, I have a tweet from Chef Nathan Cox at The Nerdy Chef asking, will the reduction of the MIP also affect veterans currently using the VA loan program? I don't think so.
This is an FHA program.
This is an FHA program. Took 4 months to get doctors. She told me she didn't want to do my full annual physical, just gave FISA. I think it's a viewer that's concerned about, the VA issue, the VA hospital issue. I think, this is just someone else tweeting about, why isn't President Obama addressing another big issue here in Phoenix? Right. Obviously, a viewer that is concerned.
Hey, by the way, I like what you did here. So here's someone who wrote in and said, hey, maybe go back to the high school feed and use picture-in-picture with Ron. And so you did it, right?
It wasn't a viewer. It was Jeff.
Oh, was that Jeff? Oh. Well, okay.
That's our coworker.
He's one of the big shots here.
Yeah.
So.
But if it was a viewer, it would have been a genius idea. Thank you, viewer Jeff Moriarty, who also works here at Fox 10.
By the way, we're right at 10:45.
I know,
So this
and is
when-
President Obama here?
Not only is he not early, now he's starting to run late.
Because it's 10:46 now officially, so he is officially late.
Yeah.
He's a minute late, and we're going to be watching the clock and waiting for President Obama. You know, the never-ending wait. Did you see his arrival into Sky Harbor? Did you see that video?
Last night, yes.
Yeah, we carried that live. I do have that video too. I mean, his wave. I'm just going to show our viewers really quick while we're waiting. President Obama at Sky Harbor.
He's pretty quick
There
down
it
these
is.
stairs.
There's the wave.
Yeah.
I wonder if President Obama has ever forgotten to wave when exiting or when entering. I feel like he, without a doubt, he'll always stop, turn around, wave right before he goes in.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it's a very President Obama thing.
I mean, it's really a treat.
Or all presidential thing.
You know, and look at these pictures, right? It's really a treat, obviously, for for somebody to meet the president.
Of course.
And shake his hand, and so. Yeah, you got, it's usually not too big of a welcoming committee, but maybe there are 100 people out there on the tarmac last night.
Right, and I think that we have some video. He was even taking photos with, there were some babies in the crowd. I think there's going to be a moment that we see in this video where someone hands their baby to the president. I mean, as you can see, a lot of iPhones and cameras up there, everyone wanting to get that. That's an Instagram shot, I swear. It's
sure.
Everyone's trying to...
See, now, if you got a good picture up that close with the president, would you Snapseed it then? Do you like that Snapseed app?
You mean Snapchat?
No, Snapseed.
What's Snapseed?
Oh, you got to put Snapseed on
Oh my God, is there
your
an
phone.
app I don't know? Hold
Yes.
on, he's getting the baby. There's the baby. And there's another baby. There's a that's a boy. Or maybe it's a girl. I don't know. But there was a girl that he also picks up and holds, and she's really cute. Maybe we don't have. Oh, there she is.
Aw,
little
with
hair.
a little ribbon in the hair.
It's really cute.
Okay, so here's Snapseed. And you just tap on it like that, and then you can go into your pictures. See, for example, that's a picture I took of Kristen this morning, and say you want to tune the image. So you just go like that, and then see if you want to make it darker. You can make it darker.
So
or
it's
if
just
you want to make it more, you want to add more color to it.
Uh-huh.
See how you can bring it down like
Right.
that. It's just a great. It's
to
more
edit
of a,
your photo.
It's more of a photo editing tool than just using your iPhone, because then you're just clicking on Chrome.
Right, and I think it's probably Snapseed's inspiration because, in the recent versions of the Instagram app, now you can do that as well. They have all the settings where you can adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, all of those things. And I'm wondering if it was Snapseed's influence where they were like, well, we might as well integrate this into our app ourselves. So I hadn't used Snapseed
You'll
yet.
like it.
I do like it. I mean, I do heavily edit my photos now on within Instagram at least, and then I sometimes double edit it where I'll edit it and then take a screenshot of it and then put that photo back in and re-edit it or refilter it. It's crazy.
You must have a lot of space left on your phone.
I have none.
I don't have
There's no space. Okay, let's see. We have more. Jaron Plunkett, word on Twitter says Obama will be stopping by the VA, but timeline is not yet determined. Can you confirm this? Again, this is a speculation. I mean, we've been hearing that he's going to go there. As far as we know, he's not there yet. He didn't stop there on the way to Central High. It's possible he could still stop there on the way before going to Sky Harbor.
And maybe that's why now he's running late.
And we don't know. I mean...
But that word, we should just add, has actually been out there. There was earlier there was a rumor that he had already gone to the hospital much earlier this morning. We knew that wasn't the case because the motorcade hadn't left the hotel yet.
Right.
So that word is definitely out there, and again, I do think, even though you say it will take some of the focus off housing today, which is his message, it really would be a chance for him to interact with some veterans.
And then no one would have anything bad to say about his visit necessarily. Because if he comes out here, there's going to be, and he leaves without going, there's going to be people that are upset, and then the next thing that the media will be covering is all the protesters that are upset that Obama didn't stop by. So maybe you're right, it is in his best interest to make that stop, even if it's just for a couple minutes. I mean,
let's see what else people are asking here, right? Yeah. So here's Cessnator?
No, John Shotwell first.
Okay.
Will this be just FHA loans that will be affected, or all housing loans? This is just FHA loans. However, it did say in the press release that people with conventional loans may be able to refinance into an FHA loan and then take advantage of this opportunity.
Now that's a really good point, because we've been talking about how it's focused on new homeowners, but as people do their refis, then you would be looking at the lower MIP.
Right.
And so that would help.
Right, but I think it's also it depends though, because if you have a traditional loan, you're putting that 20% down payment, so you don't have the mortgage insurance issue. So I guess hopefully these questions will be answered. Let's see, Cessnator, where is he going after he leaves Phoenix? That's a good question. I don't really think we've talked about it, but President Obama will be heading to Tennessee. Yep, he's going to Tennessee. That's the next stop on his agenda. He'll be speaking there tomorrow about education.
Yeah.
That's what I know off the top of my head. I think there might be some more details out there.
Yeah, so, and Tennessee's a state that has... now, I should just point out, Arizona, while it traditionally has voted for the Republican presidential candidate, in Bill Clinton's era, it went for Clinton. Arizona did vote for a Democrat. So even though Mitt Romney won the state in 2012, and as you would expect, John McCain won it in 2008.
Makes sense.
Being
a local.
You would expect the state was going to go for it.
I mean, if you're voting for him as a senator, you'll probably support him in the presidency, right?
Yeah. But Tennessee's another state that they would love to make some inroads in. That's for sure.
So I'm just doing a quick search to find out,
a little more on manufacturing.
What his Tennessee focus is. Okay, so they're saying focus on jobs and education. He'll be in East Tennessee, Knoxville. He's not going to Nashville or Memphis. He's going to Knoxville. Joe Biden will also be with him during that trip. Let's see. President is going to Pellissippi State Community College. Let's see.
Right. So now here's another example. So classes.
He's going to announce a new higher education initiative, is what we're told.
So he's going to this particular school, and it's another school-based setting. So obviously that's more in tune with it because it's education.
Right.
Oh, hey, what are they chanting?
And it's higher education, so he's at a college.
Can you hear the restless students?
Let's hear what it is.
They're chanting Obama.
Is that what it is?
I think so. They're ready for the president.
You're right. I wonder if that'll get him there earlier.
Boy, it's a long morning for those guys. Kind of makes me feel like the time I went to the Paul McCartney concert out at the what used to be called the Jobbing.com Arena out at the Glendale City Center. It was a Sunday night. You know, my bedtime for the morning show was 6:30, and the show was supposed to start at 8, and he didn't get on the stage till after 9.
Okay, that's not that bad. I once went to go see Justin Timberlake in LA. He was supposed to be on at 8, didn't show up till 11:30. I was really upset that night.
But you stuck with him, huh?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's Justin Timberlake. Do you understand? He was all over my bedroom wall. I was one of those kids that was obsessed with NSYNC.
Okay.
Anyway, we have another question.
Okay,
Diane Miranda.
Will Obama speak just about housing? He may make a couple of other off-the-cuff remarks, when he arrives there. Frequently he's going to acknowledge some of the political leaders that are there in the crowd. And it's not uncommon sometimes for the president to comment briefly on the news of the day.
Right, but yesterday, the news of the day was the terror attack in Paris. He did speak about it earlier before leaving D.C., but he did not bring it up at all during his speech in Detroit. The only time he got sort of off topic in Detroit was when he was telling the people of Detroit what he was going to talk about in Phoenix. That was the only time he deterred from his, objective in Detroit. So I don't know if he's going to do the same thing here, where he's just focusing on his message and not going to address anything else going on. Because, in terms of national news, the big news of the day still, I think, is what happened in Paris, at least on the national networks.
Yeah. And we all remember that the president made some pretty major pronouncements during that last presidential election that, quote, Al-Qaeda was on the run. And in fact, we see terrorism, if anything, is becoming a greater concern. So that terror fight's going to be with us for a long time. And if in fact, you have to presume our intelligence is working with French intelligence, we're going to do everything we can to help them solve this.
Right, I know 2 suspects are still out there that they're looking for. One turned himself in. We actually just got this tweet from our very own Mia Garcia. I'm going to show our viewers that. She has tweeted a photo of Air Force One. Mia Garcia, we're going to actually speak with her. She is out at Sky Harbor. Apparently, Secret Service just let them out on the tarmac, and now they are waiting. I know she had to wait till 10:45 to even get out there. So that she's finally out there. There you can see Air Force One. It is stunning. Just look at that plane. I'm really upset that I did not go yesterday to go see it last night after work. It's it's so nice. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to see it today, but
and you know what else?
Beautiful.
We don't have a lot of 747s that fly in and out of Sky Harbor. So just seeing a great big bird like that, the 747 is cool. I'll tell you the aircraft I want to see is the Airbus A380, which is the full double-decker, not just the 747 that's got that hump, right?
That's the one. Isn't that the one that came out in 2007?
Yes.
I did. Did
you see it in person?
I was a reporter in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And that A380 was in Connecticut.
Oh,
I think
at Hartford.
Yeah, at Hartford. And I was there, and I interviewed, I think, the head of some executive. I don't even remember who, but I got to go on that plane and like tour around and walk through it. So that is actually one of my one of my first stories. After when I first started reporting.
Did it amaze you how big it was?
It was really big. I thought it was. I wish you probably feel like, people that are in this field now, because of the internet, they have every single thing documented that they've ever done. Back then, in the mid to late 2000s, YouTube had just started. I have no archive of any of these great stories. And I'm my God, that was a good one. But I remember going on the A380, and it was not flying on it. They just gave us a tour and a walkthrough and everything, but it was really big.
Now, there was one time that Air Force One flew out to the Mesa Airport, to the Phoenix Mesa Gateway Airport out there at Power Road in the 202, and that's the famous time, or the infamous time, you could say, that Governor Brewer was out there with the famous wagging of the finger.
Yeah, January 2012.
Yeah, when the president arrived out there as well. So they have full facilities out there to handle the largest aircraft like the 747.
Looks like we have another image. Sorry to cut you off.
Well,
this is from our Instagram. If you guys aren't following us on Instagram, you can actually go find us there at Fox 10 Phoenix. This is, we just posted this 13 minutes ago, Obama visit limo going down 7th Street from Indian School towards Central High.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
That is a cool image.
Now let's go back to those live pictures of the perimeter of the Central High School. So, that is really no change. No change at all, right?
Right, no, I think everyone's just anxiously waiting. I'm sure the students there are on their phones tweeting. I bet if I did a quick...
That's exactly what's
happening.
If
I'm going to do a Twitter search to see what the kids are saying. Obama Central High. I'm sure there's some really excited kids typing in like misspelled English in their tweets. Like, oh my gosh. No offense to anyone watching. But you know how those tweets are.
Well, so let's see. Here we are. Are we right at 11 o'clock now? I think we accidentally knocked over the clock.
It is
right at 11 a.m.
So Obama is officially 15 minutes late.
Let's hope that time is being spent. Hey, JR, have we heard anything from the VA Medical Center as to whether or not we saw the president out there yet? Any reports from Rick or anybody out at VA? He did just drive by? Okay.
I'm just wondering.
All right, so there are some reports he is headed over to the hospital.
I don't know that.
Okay.
At 10:32, he arrived at Central High School.
So he's there.
He's been in high school for 20 minutes going to the White House pool.
Oh.
So the president is
He must be in the midst of his
the
meet
back.
and greets right now.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Got
As
a
far
chance
as the
to meet
tweets, now that I'm not seeing tweets, I'm just wondering if they take everyone's phones before going in, so maybe people can't tweet. No, actually,
No,
I mean,
because
no.
you see him when he walks out. What's that shot?
Everyone,
You see
yeah,
everybody's
that's
putting their
true.
phone up, right?
They're not tweeting. Maybe they're just so excited. I mean, everyone who's tweeting that I see currently are mostly media personnel.
Yes.
From there.
Now that was interesting, though. What John Roy was just saying on our assignment desk is, so there we are now at 10:32 was when the president arrived. So he's been in the building for a half hour.
Mm-hmm.
So if in fact he's going to the VA, that's going to be after he spends his time there at Central High School. What are you seeing now?
I'm searching for any student.
Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the
Okay.
President of the United States, please welcome Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Julian Castro.
Well, they're just getting going.
All
Okay.
right, let's start watching them then.
Julian Castro going to be speaking. Housing and Urban Development.
Hello, Phoenix! I'm Julian Castro, and I have the privilege of serving as the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. And I just want to know one thing first. Do we have any Central High School Bobcats in the house? It's great to be with y'all. Is Phoenix in the house? Are y'all ready to see President Obama talk about moving this country forward? I know you are. Well, I heard that this was the hottest ticket in town and that the line on Tuesday was hundreds deep along Central Avenue. Is that right? All right. Well, I heard that some folks even camped out overnight in their sleeping bags and lawn chairs. Some of y'all? There is incredible excitement in the air, and for very good reason. 6 years into the president's term in office, it's clear that his bold actions have steered our nation to greater prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the midst of economic momentum in 2015. We know this because our economy today is kind of like the Phoenix weather, hot and sure to get even warmer in the coming months. Because millions of Americans now have access to affordable health care. Because in this 21st century global economy where brain power is the new currency of success, the graduation rate is at an all-time high. And because the housing market is strengthening, with wealth growing, confidence expanding, and optimism rising. You know, it's also true that along the way our president has had some naysayers, but I think that history has shown that he's been right and they've been off base. In fact, you may remember a couple of years ago in 2012, his opponents claimed that they could get the unemployment rate to 6% by 2016. The thing is that President Obama got it lower than that 2 years earlier. They blamed him for high gas prices, but yeah, I just saw that gas was at $1.99 a gallon. Thank you, Mr. President. To put it simply, President Barack Obama is reinvigorating the American dream for current and future generations. And he's not done. In just a minute, he's going to come up and talk to you about how we can continue this progress. And my question to you, Phoenix, is, are you ready to continue that progress? Are you ready to champion the value of opportunity in the United States? Are you ready to help build a better future for all Americans? Well, so am I, and you can help me by welcoming President Barack Obama.
Arizona. Well, hey. Happy New Year, Arizona. Go Bobcats. I love you back. It's good to be in Phoenix. And I mean that because I was in Detroit yesterday, which is a great city, but it was 60 degrees colder. So it feels pretty good, this weather right here. I had a couple staff people who said, we're going to miss the plane. They're just going to try to get stranded here for a while. But, you know, I went to Detroit. I went here, I guess, between the Lions and the Cardinals. This is my post-wild card consolation tour. As a Bears fan, I want you to know that, first of all, you guys did a lot better than we did. You got a great coach. You got a great team. You had some bad luck. And there is always next year. So keep your chin up. Keep your chin up. I want to thank Secretary Castro, not just for the terrific introduction, but for the great job he's doing every day. I want to thank your Congressman, Ruben Gallego. Yeah, Ruben, where is he? Ruben, I already liked him, and then he told me he was from Chicago originally before he got smart and moved to warmer weather. I want to thank your mayor, Greg Stenton. He was here. There he is. Greg is doing a great job. I want to thank your principal, John Biera Jr. Hey. And your superintendent, Ken Scribner. And I want to thank all the students and staff and faculty who may be here. We really appreciate your hospitality. One last acknowledgement. I had a chance to meet a couple of really good friends, Mark Kelly and Gabby Giffords. And this was a remarkable meeting for me because it was 4 years ago today that Gabby and some other wonderful Arizonans were gunned down outside a supermarket in Tucson. It's a tough day for a lot of folks down there. We keep them in their thoughts and prayers. But Gabby is doing great. She looks wonderful, and she's got the same energy and passion that she always has had. And even as she waged her own fight to recover, she's fought to prevent the next tragedies from happening to others. She is a hero, and she is a great Arizonan. So we're really proud of her. And her brother, who's also an astronaut, her brother-in-law, who's also an astronaut, is going to be in space for a year. He was just on the cover of Time magazine, which I know there's some folks in Washington who wish I was going to be in space for a year, but I'm still around because I got some work to do. Now, I am here because one of my New Year's resolutions is to make sure more Americans in Phoenix and in Arizona and all across the country feel like they're coming back, because the country's coming back, but I want everybody to feel like things are getting better and we are moving in the right direction. And let there be no doubt, thanks to the steps we took early on to rescue our economy, to rebuild it on a new foundation, America is coming back. And that's not just my own opinion. Here are the facts. 2014 was the strongest year for job growth since the 1990s. We've had 57 straight months of private sector job growth, created nearly 11 million new jobs. Since 2010, we've put more people back to work than Europe, Japan, and every advanced economy combined. American manufacturing is growing at the fastest pace since the 90s. We're now the #1 producer of oil, of gas. And by the way, you're saving about $1.10 a gallon at the pump over this time last year. Although I was in Detroit and I told folks yesterday, gas prices aren't going to be low forever, so don't start suddenly saying you don't have to worry about fuel efficiency. If you're going out shopping for a new car, don't think it's always going to be this low, because then you'll be surprised and you'll be mad at me later. And I'll be able to say, I told you, don't get a gas guzzler, because gas is going to go back up. But while it's low, enjoy it. And feel free to spend some of that money on local businesses who then will hire more people and put more folks back to work. Meanwhile, thanks to the Affordable Care Act, about 10 million Americans have gained health insurance in the past year alone. We've done all this while cutting our federal deficit by about 2/3. And I'm going to repeat that because they did a poll the other day, and like 70% of the people think the deficit's going up. No, 70% of the people. You stop people on the street, 7 out of 10 think the deficit's going up. The deficit has gone down by 2/3 since I was President of the United States. So we're doing all this in a fiscally responsible way. And maybe closest to my heart, after 13 long years, our war in Afghanistan has come to a responsible end, which means more of our brave troops spent time with their families this holiday season right here back home. So these last 6 years required hard work and sacrifice by everybody. But as a country, we have a right to be proud that all that hard work paid off. America's resurgence is real. And now that we've got some calmer waters out there, if everybody does their part, if we all work together, we can make sure that the tide starts lifting all boats again. We can get wages and incomes growing faster. We can make sure the middle class is growing, that the ladders of the middle class for folks who are struggling are firm and steady and have a lot of rungs to them. Because it's the middle class, it's working families that power America's prosperity. That's always been the case. That will be true for decades to come. And, you know, I've got a State of the Union address in about 2 weeks, and that's what I want to talk about. Building on the progress we've made. But of course, why wait for the State of the Union? It's sort of like you got presents under the tree, you kind of start shaking them a little bit. I want to kind of give you a little sense of what I want to talk about. So we're going to start this week laying out some of the agenda for the next year. And here in Phoenix, I want to talk about helping more families afford their piece of the American dream, and that is owning their own home. Now let me just say, right now, Michelle and I live in rental housing. We don't own where we live. We've got 2 years remaining on our lease. I'm hoping I get my security deposit back. Although Bo and Sonny have been tearing things up occasionally. We're going to have to clean things up a little bit. But I'll never forget the day we bought our first place, a place of our own, a condo, back in Chicago. And for us and millions of Americans like us, buying a home's always been about more than owning a roof and 4 walls. It's about investing in savings and building a family and planting roots in a community. So we bought this place. It was about, I guess, probably about 2,000 square feet. It was in this complex called Eastview Park. It was sort of like a railway apartment. And you know, it felt huge when we moved in. And then Malia and Sasha were born, and their toys got everywhere. And then it felt small, because they basically took over the whole dining room with their toys. But I have such good memories, not just about the place itself, but all the work we had to do to save to get in there, and then to fix it up, and that sense of accomplishment, that you were building something for your family and for your future. And that's always been true. You know, when my grandfather came back from World War II, this country gave him the chance to buy his first home with a loan from the FHA. For folks like him, a home was proof that America was a place where if you worked hard and if you were responsible, it was rewarded. But we all know what happened in the last decade when responsibility gave way to recklessness. Families who did the right thing and bought a home that they could afford and made their payments each month and did everything right, when the market plummeted, they got hurt. Even though somebody else was acting irresponsibly, whether on Wall Street or folks who weren't responsible in terms of how they were dealing with their real estate, ordinary families got hurt bad, and that was especially true here in Arizona. There were folks who borrowed more than they should have. There were lenders who really were just worried about making profits and not whether the people they were lending to were going to be able to keep up their homes. So home values plunged, Americans sank underwater, foreclosures skyrocketed, builders stopped building, construction workers lost their jobs. And when I came into office, I believed we could not let this crisis play itself out. If we could save more families from losing everything they had worked so hard to build, we had to make the effort. So less than a month after I took office, I came here to Arizona to lay out my plan to get responsible homeowners back on their feet. And I said that healing our housing market wouldn't be easy, it would not be quick, but we were going to act swiftly, we were going to act boldly, we were going to try everything that we could to help responsible homeowners. If something didn't work, we'd try something else. But we were going to try to keep folks in their homes. And we ended up helping millions stay in their homes. We helped millions more save thousands of dollars each year by refinancing. We helped folks who didn't want to buy a home or who weren't ready to buy find an affordable place to rent. We kept up our fight against homelessness. And by the way, there's some homeless advocates here. Since 2010, we've helped bring 1 in 3 homeless veterans off the streets. And I want to make sure everybody knows, under Mayor Stanton, Phoenix is leading the way in that effort. Phoenix is doing a great job. So as a result of all these efforts, today home sales are up nearly 50% from where they were in the worst of the crisis. Home building has more than doubled. That's created hundreds of thousands of construction jobs. New foreclosures are at their lowest level since 2006. Since 2012, nearly 10 million fewer Americans have their homes underwater. Rising home prices have put hundreds of billions of dollars of wealth back in the pockets of middle-class families. Now, I want everybody to be clear, this progress is not an accident. It is not luck. It's what happens when you have policies that put middle-class families first. And what's true in Arizona is true all across the country. We've still got some more work to do. Our job's not done. But what we're doing is working, and we've got to keep at it. We've got to stay at it. Today, here in Phoenix, I'm going to take a new action to help even more responsible families stake their claim on the middle class and buy their first new home. Starting this month, the Federal Housing Authority will lower its mortgage insurance premium rates enough to save the average new borrower more than $900 a year. Now, that's $900 that can go towards paying the groceries, or gas, or a child's education, or depending on what your mortgage is, it might be a month's mortgage payment. And for those who aren't familiar with FHA, FHA underwrites, it guarantees, it's the backstop for a lot of loans around the country, especially for middle-class folks. So a lot of people pay these fees. And if they're saving $900, that's money that's going to be going throughout the economy. Over the next 3 years, these lower premiums will give hundreds of thousands more families the chance to own their own home. And it'll help make owning a home more affordable for millions more households overall in the coming years. And just to give you an example, earlier today, Secretary Castro and I visited Nueva Villas. It's a new neighborhood here in Phoenix where a lot of families are buying homes with the help of the FHA. And we actually, this was a big development that wasn't finished or wasn't all sold. The crisis came. Half the homes were still unsold. Folks lost their homes and started getting boarded up. People were feeling insecure. It was starting to get depressed. Nonprofits, with the help of HUD, came in, purchased some of the properties, hired local residents to rehab them. Now people are building them beautiful homes. And with the help of the FHA, we can now make sure that more people are getting access to these homes. And today's action will mean more money in the pockets of families like the ones that we've met. Is this about housing? All right. So and keep in mind, hundreds of thousands of new buyers is going to mean a healthier housing market for everybody. So how many people here own their own home? All right. So even though you've already got your mortgage or your loan, you already have your home, if your neighbors are buying more homes, that's lifting the whole market here, which means the value of your home starts going up. And that's good for you. It means fewer foreclosure signs as people fix up old properties. It means more construction, which means more jobs, which means a better economy. So this is the kind of boost that we need to keep the momentum that we have seen over the last several years, keep it going here in Phoenix and all across the country. So I want to be clear. If you're looking to take advantage of these lower rates, that's great. On the other hand, don't buy something you can't afford. You're going to be out of luck. These rates are for responsible buyers. We're not going down the road again of financing folks buying things they can't afford. We're going to be cracking down on that. We put in place tough rules on Wall Street, and we created a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And we're really policing irresponsible lenders, luring folks into buying stuff they can't afford. And we designed a mortgage form that's written in simple language so that people understand what the commitments are when you buy a home. We're cracking down on some of the worst practices that led to the housing crisis. We're going to protect middle-class families from getting ripped off. And that's why we had the Justice Department fight for buyers who were discriminated against or preyed upon, and we won a settlement that awarded more money to victims in 1 year than in the previous 23 years combined. That's why we worked with states to force big banks to repay more than $50 billion to more than 1.5 million borrowers who had been treated wrongly, and that was the largest lending settlement in history. And that's why I've called on Congress to wind down the government-backed companies known as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So the bottom line is that we don't think there's anything wrong with pursuing a profit, but we want to make clear the days of making bad bets on the back of taxpayer money and then getting bailed out afterwards, we're not going back to that. We've worked too hard, and everything we've done to heal the housing markets, we want to preserve. But we do want to make sure that the housing market is strong and that responsible homeowners can get a good deal. Or people who have saved, done the right thing, now are looking to buy their first home. We want to make sure that they get a little bit of help. In the end, everything we've done to heal the housing market's about more than just restoring housing values. It's about restoring our common values. It's about who we are as a country and who we are as communities. And I want to just tell you a quick story. Lorraine Kona from Sun City, next door, she did everything right. She had a good job as a librarian. She bought a home she could afford. She wanted to retire in that home. She made her payments on time. Then 5 years ago, for no fault of her own, she was laid off, and she started falling behind in her payments. She knew foreclosure was coming. She said, I'd look out the window and I'd see somebody taking pictures of my house. But when things seemed darkest, Lorraine learned about something called the Hardest Hit Fund. This is a program that we created to help folks in states like Arizona that have been especially hard hit by the real estate crash. And they helped her make her late payments because she had a great track record until she had lost her job. They set her up with financial counseling so she could stay on track. It wasn't easy, but Lorraine repaired her credit. She refinanced her mortgage. And today, after a lifetime of hard work, Lorraine is retired. She's back to making her payments every single month. She's in her home. She was able to accomplish that. Even though it was scary at times, she got it done. Lorraine came back just like Phoenix has come back. Just like Arizona come back. Just like America's come back. It's not just the economy turning around. It's turning around the lives of hard-working people, making sure that that hard work finally pays off. It's making sure you finally get that job you're looking for, or the raise you deserve, or a little bit of security, or the retirement that you've earned, or being able to send your kid to college so their lives are better than yours. That's what this is about. So I just want everybody to know that we have been through some tough times, but we are moving. There are workers today with jobs who didn't have jobs last year. There are families who've got health insurance who didn't have health insurance before. There are students who are in college right now who didn't think they could afford it before. There are heroes who had served tour after tour who are finally home with their families. There are auto workers who are building great American cars now when they thought that those plants were going to shut down. America is coming back. And the key, Arizona, is for us all to work together to make sure we keep it going. Thank you, everybody. God bless you. God bless America.
Well, the president had a chance to speak directly to the people of Arizona as we carried it live right here on the Fox 10 YouTube channel. And, you know, he spent the last few minutes, Samia, talking about the progress that he feels his policies have put into play, you know, in terms of helping the housing market. He wrapped up with that story about Lorraine Kona out in Sun City and how she's doing okay now. With a housing situation. I don't know about you, but I thought the best part of his speech was when he was talking about when he was a first-time homeowner and he was a newlywed with the First Lady, with Michelle. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the way to effectively communicate with an audience, whether you're the president, whoever you are, any sort of public figure. It's about creating that story that allows you to connect with the everyday person.
Correct, and that. I think that's probably the part, I couldn't tell for sure, but it looked like that was the part where he was kind of going off the speech that had been prepared for him a little bit when he's talking about that, you know, the story about trying to raise kids, and it felt like a huge place until the toys filled up the dining room completely.
Right, and that's a relatable feeling I think that everyone has. I mean, you get your first home, it might just be, you know, you and your spouse, and then kid 1 comes, kid 2 comes, kid 3 comes, whatever, and then next thing you know, everyone's cramming into one room, and you're like, uh-oh, gotta get that next house.
But it is interesting, you know, I was on the phone with a mortgage person during the time President was speaking, and he said, yeah, this is primarily going to be affecting people who are going to be doing either new purchases or refis, like we were talking about.
Right.
But he said there are going to be a lot more people now who currently can't qualify for the refis, who will be able to qualify for the refi, because that's another anywhere from $75 to $100 a month that you're not going to be having to put into the mortgage. Therefore, that many more people are going to qualify and can refi, and A, can get the lower rates, and B, can get it with a much lower mortgage insurance premium.
Right.
Yeah.
So basically,
It's not, still, you as a homeowner, right? You still have your house in Fresno. It doesn't look like it'll affect you until you want to refi.
so as a current FHA borrower, I can still refinance
Oh, absolutely.
into another. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So in theory, it helps everyone as long as they make the effort to get the help.
Correct. Yeah, there are people worried that interest rates are going to start going up, but we do a business segment on our on the early part of our morning show with Wayne Stutzer. He's a financial consultant here in the 5 a.m. hour, and we were talking about this morning. There's a guy with the Federal Reserve who said we may not hit the inflation targets in this country until 2018. He says we can keep interest rates low, he said, for another couple of years.
So people have a couple of years to buy that house.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could go up. That's just one man with an opinion with the Federal Reserve. But if in fact right now your mortgage is say 4 3/4, something like that, and you can get a mortgage for a full percentage point less than that, and you've been wanting to do it but you can't refi, now this qualifies you to refi.
Right.
There'll be a lot of people that'll do that.
My parents have been getting on my case to refinance
Oh, have
for
you
the
really?
last few months. Yeah, and I'm just like, yeah, I'll deal with it. I don't. They're just like, just authorize your dad to call and do it then, because I'm like, I don't even know what I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it. But yeah, I mean, obviously saving money
Right.
would be the key thing to do, and it's about taking that initiative and just doing it
Right.
when, currently in the current climate, you can do it.
Yes.
So
I also thought it was pretty interesting that the president said, he tried to highlight the fact that he said less than a month after I took office, when we were in the midst of the worst housing crisis in any of our lifetimes, I came here to Phoenix to outline my plan on how we were going to fix things. Now, the natural market forces took over and helped in great deal because the prices got so low. People, whether the government was doing anything or not, eventually the prices were going to get so low, people would start buying and bringing them up. But he was
Right.
talking about how his policies helped, and he clearly has the numbers to back it up in terms of the number of people that have been able to refi and everything else. He talked about reducing homelessness. He talked about helping people find affordable rents, and he came back to Phoenix. You got to give him credit for that. He outlined it 6 years ago what he wanted to do, and now 6 years later, it's time for a little bit of a report card, and he comes back to the same city.
that's nice of him.
Yeah,
To be-
smart too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it just comes full circle.
Yeah.
His agenda, what he wants to do. And
Right.
my question is he going to come back here again before his presidency is up? I mean, kind of going off topic, I think everyone was speculating why he hasn't stayed at the Biltmore yet. There's this whole historic legacy where every single president, while they've been in office,
Yes.
has stayed at the Biltmore since Herbert Hoover, which is like 1929 or something, right?
Yes, right.
And
I think they have a little gallery where they show the pictures of all
if
the
President
presidents.
Obama doesn't,
Yeah,
he's going to ruin this
yeah.
really long streak, and I don't
I
know
know.
if anyone's going to be happy with that.
Well, and the funny thing is, I mean, the Point Hilton Squaw Peak's right around the bend. I mean, it's not that many miles. I mean, geographically, he could have very well
Right.
have stayed there. But we'll see. He's still got 2 more years. And Arizona, I got to believe, is going to be even a more important political player in 2016.
Right.
So don't be surprised at all to see him back here another time, maybe a couple of times. He's been averaging about once every 11 months that he comes out here. So
Yeah, this is
I'd
his
bet
7th trip, I think is what we
That's right.
counted yesterday.
Yeah,
So,
for 6 years in office. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Let's see. What were some of the other highlights that we were gonna?
well, I took my sort of scribbled notes, and then
Yes.
you took notes. I think
Right.
I've obviously, what the thing I love about listening to President Obama speak
Mm-hmm.
is that he always throws in the jokes.
Right.
He came out, and the first thing he talks about is how happy he is to be here in Phoenix and not in Detroit. Why? Because of the weather.
Right.
So it's like, okay, let's joke around some more. But he takes it a step further. He's not just joking about weather. He brings football into the
Yes,
mix.
right. This is
And
my
I-
post-playoff tour.
And I think
was
that
funny.
is so. I don't know.
good.
I think it's, I mean, you can see the auditorium is clearing. There's so many people there. I mean, do you know how many people were in attendance?
Well, we said 200 students, and there were several hundred more that had the tickets, so I would bet you had probably, I'm going to guess, maybe 600 people
Right.
who were there, maybe 600 to 800
It was
who
big.
were in attendance.
But yeah, there he goes, joking about football.
Can't miss with football.
Talking about the Lions and the Cardinals, references his own team, the Bears, which, you know, they're not doing. They didn't do too
Not
hot.
doing very well.
But you know, like.
Let's see how the speech is playing with folks.
Oh, are you going to read the comments on YouTube? Yeah, we were actually watching as you guys were typing live, chatting with us, you know, while the speech was going on to see what your guys' thoughts were. So I'm going to have, Ron's going to pull that up. Some of the other highlights, I think it's really smart that the president did bring up Gabby Giffords. And obviously this is the 4-year anniversary since that shooting in Tucson. He did say that he met with Giffords and said that she's doing well. So I think it was important to do that, you know, and remind people that, you know, she's there, she's doing well. And I talked a little bit about that, you know, then went into gas prices being low, kind of going into the economy, then talked about how 10 million people have health insurance now through the Affordable Care Act.
Right.
So I think, again, it was just one of those things where President Obama was, you know, detailing his accomplishments.
Right.
You know, and before going into his new agenda, just reminding everyone, look at everything I've done. I mean, he says that, you know. He mentions the last 6 years of his presidency, so he's fully aware that he's kind of just reminding all the people in the audience, in case they were not aware, everything that he's done. In fact, he even referenced a recent poll where 70% of people who were surveyed thought that the national deficit was going up. But he actually wanted to clarify and say that the deficit has been cut by 2/3 since he took office.
Yes.
So it's contrary to popular belief that, you know, we're in more debt when in reality we're in far less debt than we were in 2008 is what he wanted to say. He even mentioned the troops. Obviously, you know, that's a, you know, important topic for people, reminding them that they were home for the holidays and kind of spinning it, you know, in his own way. Everything I think was spun very positively.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's see. So we've got, here's Karen, who, so if you're watching us on YouTube, you can make the live remarks, right? I mean, as part of the live chat. And Karen says, our Prez is certainly charismatic. And, you know, but then there are other people who say, you know, they feel like he's a joke or, you know, that they don't like watching him on TV. Here's somebody else that says you can't stop free speech. Well, yeah, no kidding. I mean, that's what we're all about here.
Right. And you know,
especially on the YouTube channel.
Right. I mean, for YouTube, we have a lot more flexibility to say some things that might not be on the TV, on the air.
Right.
You know, I've had Steve Kraft here going into detail about the Jodi Arias trial.
Oh,
in
see,
certain
Steve,
ways that
get
he
him
might not have
started
done
on
that in
Yeah,
a
no.
regular traditional newscast live shot. Because, you know, some of that stuff they show in evidence is somewhat inappropriate, to say the least.
Yeah,
you know
for
what?
sure.
I know that we have Mia Garcia out at Sky Harbor. We're going to speak with her in just a second. I think they're just getting ready.
I can see her getting ready
yeah,
right now,
we
as a
have
matter
her
of
over
fact.
there. I mean, she looks great right in front of Air Force One. It's a really cool shot. It's pretty windy from what we see here. We're going to toss her in just a second.
It is interesting, too, because we were following, when we first went on the air this morning, we could see these clouds building down around Tucson, and by the time the sun came up off of our tower cam, you could see how cloudy it was. So
Right.
we're actually saying, that, despite the fact it was 81 all-time record high yesterday for that date, today we're saying there is about a 20% chance of rain. So, anyways.
It's so weird, though, because, yeah, we hit that record yesterday.
Right.
It's like,
Made
I
you
don't
wish
know.
you were out there hiking, didn't it?
no. All right, well, it looks like Mia Garcia is ready to speak with us. Mia, you are live in Sky Harbor right now. How are things out there?
Hi, Samia. We're out here at the executive terminal at Sky Harbor Airport, and we are waiting for President Obama to arrive. He was scheduled to depart at 11:15, so he is running a bit behind schedule. Take a look behind me. Air Force One is out here ready to go. In that black Suburban, we've got members of the Secret Service, and they are, again, all waiting for him to arrive here at Sky Harbor Airport. We have been waiting in this media area out here for the last few hours, and if you want to take a look right over here, When the president arrived yesterday, there was a whole group of people who were standing out here, and they were waiting to just meet the president and talk to him, and that's exactly what he did. But that same area right now is empty, and we're told as soon as he gets here, it's going to be an incredibly quick departure. He's going to arrive and then just hop aboard Air Force One and head back to Washington, D.C. But we have seen a bit more activity out here. Again, Phoenix police, members of the Secret Service out here just waiting for President Obama to arrive. And that's the latest from out here at Sky Harbor Airport. Back to you.
Well, so probably not a big surprise there that they're going to get him out there and go wheels up.
My question is he going straight here, or is he going to stop by the hospital? That's still my question. I mean, there's still the chance, fingers crossed for the protesters,
right,
that he does stop at the VA hospital. You know, our commenters that were watching, we're still, having questions about that. Obviously, we've talked about it earlier. There are protesters out there. He made a brief mention to vets during his speech, not specifically about the hospital, but he did want to talk about the effort to get homeless vets off the streets.
Yeah.
And so again, part of his whole look at everything we've done campaign was mentioning getting homeless vets off the streets, and also gave a shout out to Phoenix, saying that we were actually leading that effort. So
and did I tell you my daughter works at a homeless shelter?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so she says that when the president or anybody high ranking gives some real credit to the efforts that they're making, that they really do appreciate that.
Right.
This statistic he talked about how 1 in 3 homeless vets they've been able to get off the streets is is pretty impressive.
We have a visitor. Hi.
Sure. Corey McCloskey.
I know. The thing about the
know why,
viewers
though?
out here, this setup is not we're actually in the newsroom. So periodically, we'll have people walk on. Sometimes I've had people actually just come pop their head in the set to say hi to
Corey
the
would do
viewers.
that. I'll tell you why Corey appeared. He probably heard that we were mentioning there was a small chance of rain today.
Oh, no.
And I mean, technically, when you start getting into that whole weather arena,
He pops in.
Yeah, he's going to hear about it. And so here we are.
He's giving us a sad face.
It's getting very awkward. Anyways, all right. So we just heard from Mia.
We did.
And I think we're also, in a minute, we're going to talk to Andrew.
Yeah, I don't, Andrew, we're going to talk to him, in just a second, I believe. Andrew is actually live at Central High.
Right.
That's where we were just watching President Obama. I think we're going to speak with Andrew in just a second. Let me see if I can cue up Andrew here. You keep talking to our viewers.
Okay. All right. Well, we do really appreciate your, just the various comments you're sending to us during this live chat on YouTube. I've hung out with you a couple of times here now.
Yeah, I know.
But
it's fun.
I had to go get my reading glasses so that I could actually read some of the comments that people are making. We're up to almost 300 comments of people who are, who've been watching, and obviously we want to get your feedback on it. On exactly what people are thinking about this speech. Because let's face the political facts of what's going on here. He's not going to run, as he already said. I'm never running for another office. It's not like he's going to retire. Who was the president? We had a president once who, believe it or not, he was done being president, and then he ran for a seat in Congress, and he went back to being a congressperson. I think it was John Quincy Adams. Yeah, I believe so.
It's the addiction of politics, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. And so, then he went back to Washington. But this is it for him. But he does have to consider the practical realities
Right.
of how did this play politically in Arizona, a state that's going to be important for the Democrats come 2016.
All right, well, it looks like Andrew is ready. We have our very own Andrew Hasbin live at Central High School. Andrew, what has the reaction been like out there?
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Samia. Yeah, we are here inside the gym at Central High School, and the crowd, as you can see, is kind of dissipating. The president just wrapped up about 10 minutes ago or so. Spoke, as I'm sure people who are watching this now watched the speech, spoke about mortgages here in the Valley and across the country, talking about the reduction in the FHA mortgage insurance premium that new borrowers are going to pay when they go get a loan that is backed by the Federal Housing Administration, a government-backed loan. People here are of course, big supporters of the president, so they loved every minute of it. they were having a blast. To be able to be in here and see him, whether he was talking about housing or anything else, they were just loving every minute of it. When he was done, the president came down into the crowd a little bit and worked the line, taking pictures and saying hello to people. One group right in front was actually the choir from the Central High School choir. 8 members of the choir were picked to sing the national anthem on stage before the president spoke. They actually got front row seats to the speech, and when it was over, the president came down, greeted them, and he also thanked some of them for singing the national anthem. So they were pretty thrilled with all that. There was also a group of people who got to greet the president backstage. That included the mayor and some other people, including a little boy that we spoke to, who told the mayor, "Welcome to Arizona." So it was certainly a very energetic environment here. Everybody was thrilled that the president came. There was briefly one heckler. Couldn't really understand what she was saying. All we heard was something about Mexico. Couldn't really make out what she was saying, but within about, I'd say, 20 seconds, she was escorted out of the building. The president briefly stopped his speech when she started screaming and said, "Is this about housing?" And it sounded like if she really did have a question, that he would have probably answered it. However, she was taken out very quickly, and things got right back on schedule and back to normal right away. So not a big issue there at all. So again, the president just wrapped up. He's on his way to Sky Harbor to depart. Samia, back to you.
All right, Andrew, thanks for that update. Straight from Central High School. Was he saying that a woman was taken out of the auditorium?
Something about that.
Like disruption or?
Yeah, was yelling something that she had a question for him. That maybe he would have taken the question, but I guess they escorted her out or something to that nature. I was going to ask him how many people actually. You had a good question there, which is how many people
were there?
Total got a chance to attend. And while we know there were 200 students,
sure.
I'm betting there were probably. Well, you know, it's set up there in the auditorium, and they've got the bleachers and everything, but it looks like primarily it was people in kind of a floor seating.
We're getting more questions actually on YouTube. Karen Luciter, I don't know if I said her last name right, but is it only for first-time home buyers? I don't think so. I think it's anyone who can qualify for an FHA loan.
And who can also refi. So first-time home buyers on the FHA loan, yes.
Yes.
But it sounds like for refis as well.
Right.
So that would be for existing people if you want to go through the refi process, which might make sense, right?
So there you have it, Karen.
Okay, so let's see.
Dean Cassidy Dill.
Dean Cassidy Dill. That distinction goes to Andrew Johnson, the country's 17th president.
Okay, so that was back at your what you brought up earlier.
Yeah, who became president and then went on to serve in Congress afterwards. In 1874, he became the first and only president to win a Senate seat after serving as president of the United States. That's pretty cool.
He took
1875. Right. Andrew Johnson was a pretty divisive figure because, he came in obviously right after President Lincoln had been shot.
Right.
And he was impeached. And he was not convicted in the Senate, but he was impeached in the House. So he was highly controversial. A lot of folks thought that he was kind of standing in the way of some of the steps that they wanted to see taken to bring the country back together. So anyway, Dean, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
We love the history feedback from all of you here on YouTube. That's for sure. It's cool that we can be so interactive like that.
I know. I really do like this. I want to just take a live look at what's going on at Sky Harbor, just to show everyone that plane.
Yeah.
This is where Mia is at right now. I just like periodically showing people that plane is still out there right now. I don't know what the traffic situation is like out at Sky Harbor, if people can actually go in the car and still drive by and get a photo before it departs. I don't know what the security situation is like out there right now. I'm pretty sure it's probably heavily secured, and it's probably not as accessible as it may have been last night. But
well, although I was surprised when we showed the motorcade pulling out of the hotel, the Point Hilton Squaw Peak. There were just people standing on the sidewalk there. I mean, so it wasn't like. So it was so super secure that you couldn't get within 3 blocks of the motorcade. So I don't know, maybe you could take a picture if you were out there at the airport. I was talking to somebody who was going to be flying out early this afternoon today.
Yeah.
And he was saying, boy, I hope it doesn't coincide with the time the president's going to be out there, because obviously
then you're delayed.
They are going to be shut down for a while.
Right.
As a result. But
Go
Go ahead.
Oh, I heard that you could see someone in the newsroom, I think, told me that you could see the plane from the 10 freeway. I don't know if that's true. I
would believe that.
I haven't
sure.
gone. I didn't drive down there. I was really upset. I was supposed to go yesterday after I wrapped up his arrival.
Oh, yeah? Why didn't you?
And I was just really tired, and I was driving. I was on the 10,
Okay.
and I take 51 north, and I just did my normal drive because you do it out of habit.
Yeah.
And then I was up 51, and I passed Indian School, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to turn around now, and I just went home, and I gave up. And this morning, I have so much regret because I know it would have been a great Instagram photo.
Yes, it would
And
have.
I was like,
yeah.
and I don't know when. hopefully he comes back again somewhat soon.
Yeah,
It would be nice to have him back, but we'll see, because I would like to go out there, and obviously, we're here now, and I will be here in this newsroom until after he leaves. So no Instagram opportunity for me. I lost that moment.
Well, we'll see. If he shows up at the airport in the next, we see. You want to take that picture live one more time? Show them that.
Oh, look, they're
come
coming
some
now.
Police SUVs. This may be the actual motorcade. Gosh, it looks like it is, because there's that presidential SUV. If he stopped at the hospital, that would have been a real quick stop, so he may not have. But there comes the presidential limo, and just as Mia told us,
right?
There's not a big crowd out there to wish him a fond farewell. He's ready to head out of there.
We have a couple of shots. I want to get this one in there too, so people can kind of see both shots. A close-up up there, and then the wide shot.
Sure.
So everyone can kind of see what's going on over there.
I always wonder when, there's a delay when he's in there for a minute or two. Is he on the phone with his national security advisor, or somebody with CIA or who knows what. But obviously if walls could talk, the conversations that have been held in the back of Air Force One would be pretty interesting, that's for sure. So we've got Mia Garcia. She's out there at the airport. We'll have more coverage from her on Fox 10 later today,
and I think we're gonna talk to her one more time. I believe we're gonna go talk to her once more today.
Okay.
That is what I'm told. I think after the president takes off, we'll go back to Mia, wrap things up with her.
We were all speculating about where he was going to go, either have breakfast or lunch, but it looks like lunch is off.
No food.
He's getting right on. There'll be plenty of food on the. They probably have it like a trail mix.
Right.
Some sort of a snack mix waiting for the president. Plus a chef
him
aboard
exiting.
with plenty of food.
Trying to get that tight shot. There he is. There he is.
He came here on a warm afternoon or a warm evening, and he's leaving on kind of a blustery day with the clouds. You can see the wind kind of whipping the back of his jacket. One quick wave.
The wave.
Yeah.
Always does the wave.
Right.
And he is.
Yep, that's it.
That is it. That is.
Oh, there he is one more time. See him just kind of closing the door.
Sneaking out.
Now, did they have they've got the stairs lowered in the back, I think, for the press pool.
Oh, right, back
See
there.
that back there? Yeah. Well, I would think he would consider today's visit a success. I'm sure we'll hear from some veterans, who are concerned that he either didn't go by the hospital or spent a very short period of time there. We're going to work to try to get some details on whether or not he did pop in there. But timing-wise, it looks like he probably left and headed straight over to the airport.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he. I don't think he made that stop.
Well, that's an impressive sight.
It is really cool.
Here go the limos. Something else, Sammy, that was pretty interesting today was
what's
the
that?
we had a guy on our morning show who was a former Secret Service agent. And just in the middle of the conversation, he said something that I thought was really interesting. I don't know that he knew he was giving out some details about it, but he said, you know, for local police, this is a big effort, and we rely on them because they know the city better than we do. He said, you know, so they, as we are moving around with the motorcade and everything else, we have to rely on them heavily. He said it's not so much outsourcing, it's more of a partnership. But then he said, we're only there for a couple of weeks. So that is interesting to me. That says that the average time frame for Secret Service, you know, to make sure that the president is fully, properly protected, it takes a couple of weeks to prepare for a visit like this.
Right.
You know, in
And you have to
terms
keep
of
everything
getting
secure
everything ready.
and right.
Yeah.
And now we're just waiting for takeoff. I know I said earlier that we were going to go and speak with Mia Garcia again. I know she is getting ready. She's going to be in the Fox 10 News at noon.
Yes,
so I think
right.
she's focusing on that. But I thank you, Mia, for joining us earlier, giving us an update on what was going on over at Sky Harbor.
Yeah, good job, Mia.
Now it's just the waiting game. What we always play with Mr. President. The wait.
Let's see.
Wait, say that again?
So he originally it was scheduled for 10:45.
minutes to
I didn't
live
actually
set.
look down. I think it was around a little after 11 that he actually started speaking. And so here we are now, just approaching noon, and he's ready to roll. We also have people that are just kind of giving us feedback on Twitter on what they thought about the president's speech and about our coverage of it. And we'll be posting his speech. If you're just, you know, we're just coming up on the noon hour now, so a lot of folks are just grabbing their phones.
Oh, we got another question from a viewer, Terry Rodriguez. Curious, do all those cars also board the plane too? I'm going to give this one to you because I don't actually know the answer.
My understanding is there's a second aircraft.
A second aircraft,
So,
okay.
and they do fly those limos around.
Right, because then they have two of those beast vehicles.
Yes, right. Yeah, so you got the decoy as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's not on board Air Force One, but there'll be another plane that's going to be taking off
Right.
with them pretty quickly. And then I think a lot of the remaining vehicles that we saw in the motorcade are local law enforcement. Obviously, you had the marked Phoenix police
Right.
cruisers. Looked like you had some kind of a mobile command unit. We had ambulances. That obviously would be local from Phoenix Fire. And now you can hear the engines firing
There
up,
it
and we're
is.
getting ready.
I'm going to hide us so that everyone can see the full shot
Yeah.
clearly.
I think ever since, do you remember hearing this story? There was a president who, I want to say it was Bill Clinton in his early days, who kept people waiting on the tarmac for a long time while he got his hair cut aboard Air Force One.
I need to Google this now.
I'm pretty sure
I
that
need to look
happened
this
at
up.
LAX, and I want to say it was during the Bill Clinton years.
Clinton,
So,
haircut.
airport, see, it's coming up. Okay. Haircut grounded Clinton.
And while the price took 1993.
Or how about Hairgate?
Hairgate.
The 10 most expensive haircuts ever.
It may have been the most expensive haircut in history.
Two
Two-
LA airport runways were shut down for nearly an hour for a haircut.
At
So-
LAX.
Okay, so my memory bank was working on
You're
that one.
right.
See, I'm glad I was able to tell you
President
that hilarious story.
President Clinton. I mean, that's just funny to me. I
It
think
is
that's
hilarious.
I mean, that's one of those. That's a Jeopardy question.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know,
I
that's
know.
a trivia question that
Yeah.
is a fun fact to know.
But I have had this sense ever since then that they are pretty good about getting these planes out of there. Right. So, I mean, they are aware that they are now disrupting regular air travel for a lot of people.
Business,
And they don't want to do that for too long. So with the skyline of the city there in the background
Yeah,
and the
it's so cool
Chase
looking.
Field off there, get you ready for baseball season before you know it. He's going to be taking off.
I think
and
spring
heading
training
east.
gets us really ready for baseball
Yeah.
season over here.
I know. Did you go out last year to the Cubs? That is such a spectacular new stadium. You got to go check out the Cubs. Well, you weren't here last spring. Wait till
I
you
was
go.
in LA.
Yeah, they built a miniature version of Wrigley Field.
Oh, really?
Right there in Mesa,
Oh my
right where the
gosh.
101 and the
That's
202
where
are.
they should have taken President Obama.
I know.
Mr. Chicago.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Who's
Of
the
course,
thought?
he's more of a White Sox guy.
Oh.
But, I wonder how he feels about the Cubs. He probably, being a Chicago, and he probably would still be happy if the Cubs were to do something like that. All right, so here it goes. I guess they would just keep all the other aircraft at the gate. Unless maybe planes have just recently arrived and they're going to have them off in some sort of a holding area for 5 or 10 minutes and then get right back to airport operations out past the Papago Buttes. And wheels up right here at 12:01.
Almost. Ready?
Superstition Mountains out there. Did you see all those snow on the supers the other day? Wasn't that cool?
Yeah. It's crazy how, like, 1 week we have snow and then we have record heat the next.
I know. Keeps the weatherman employed, that's for sure. Wow. Yeah, funny enough, pretty much no matter where else you fly in the country, you're going to go to some cold weather. I think Corey was saying this morning that Miami, which is almost always 70-something or 80-something, was in the mid to maybe mid-50s this morning, which is really cold for them. And that Orlando was in the 30s. So even Florida.
That's really cold.
Yeah, even Florida's in the
Florida,
deep
which
freeze.
normally is always in the 70s and 80s, regardless of the month.
Yeah. So, best weather in the country. President, I'm sure he probably wishes. I saw some people on YouTube saying, well, he's coming for the golf. He didn't get to golf, but he probably wishes he could.
I heard something about how he was at the gym at the hotel this morning. I think there was a rumor in the newsroom that we got some video of him.
We showed it, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't show it here, though.
No, we'll have to go grab it or something. But
I know.
it was just like a little Vine video because it was only 6 seconds or something.
But it's still cool. Anyone who posts that Vine is probably getting revined a lot, too, now.
Yes, yeah,
That's kind of
absolutely.
cool. I mean, it's the plane's still there in the distance.
There you go. Well,
on his way to Tennessee.
Yes, and like I said, if you happen to be lucky enough to be staying at that hotel and you want to actually meet the president, just go down to the gym in the morning because he works out. He's probably going to be down in the gym.
Strategic.
There you go, for your chance to meet the president.
The right way to meet the president.
There goes those stairs.
Where's the plane?
Banking off now to the left, going to fly right over the Mogollon Rim.
We have one other camera view I'm going to take real quick.
Okay.
Oh man, I just lost it. And now it's gone. That was in the sky.
Yeah.
But now we don't have it anymore. Now we can see the clear runway. It's empty.
Yep.
President Obama has left Phoenix officially. So we'll just talk to you guys now.
Yeah. Well, I think that I'm sure that he and his staff are going to consider it a pretty successful visit.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? I have Obama at the gym.
Oh, well, that was fast. Here we go.
Yeah, I know. We have a great team here helping us behind the scenes.
Really? Did Jeff put that in
for you?
That
was Jeff. I'm assuming it's Jeff because Jeff messaged me saying Obama at the gym is in your folder, and I was like, thanks, Jeff. This is your second shout out of the day.
So if you haven't seen this video, it's fast.
It is. Let me pull up.
Oh, this is hilarious. Now watch when you first see it. There's a guy. Can you put it full but not roll it yet?
Yeah.
Okay, put it full because I want people to see this. Here's the guy in the orange shirt. He's just stretching out while the president walks by. That's hilarious.
Okay, yeah, I see President Obama in that mirror, and there's a guy stretching, and here's someone else with their phone in hand taking this. Let's play it.
Okay. We're constantly talking to him.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
No idea what the question was, but he said, I constantly talk to him. Let's replay it.
We're constantly talking to him.
We're constantly talking.
Have a great day.
Constantly talking.
Is that what he's saying? Am I hearing it right?
Yeah.
Let's hear it one more time.
We're constantly talking to him.
Thank you.
We're
Have a great day.
Talking to him.
Yeah.
The question is, What is he talking about?
Right. 'Cause somebody had just shouted that question out, but I do love the guy doing the stretching.
Have a great day.
I'm not aware that the president's walking by.
Right. Let's like pause on him. There he is.
Yeah.
Stretching, right?
Well, stretching is an important part of the workout.
It is. It's very important. I mean, some people's whole workout is a stretch. I mean, that's kind of what yoga is, I guess.
Yeah.
Lots
I'm
of
doing
stretching.
more stretching lately, anyways. But so somebody must have asked him about. It obviously would be somebody who's big in the news today, and we're constantly talking to him. It could be. It could be the president of France because of what they're dealing with today, or somewhere else in the European Union.
Right.
Because there are concerns over terrorism, really, broad-based across Europe. It hasn't made a lot of headlines yet, but apparently ISIS had released a video calling on Muslims in France, to do a terror attack. And so we don't know if that inspired these guys.
They said
or not
France
for this horrible
specifically
thing.
in that video. I remember seeing that on some news source, either I think this morning or yesterday. Right? They were specifically saying that, I guess, if you can't make it out to join them in their region, wherever they are, Syria, Iraq, then do it wherever you are.
Yeah,
and actually, they said specifically France.
Yeah, but I really appreciate the way that the story is being told all over the world now. I don't know if somebody there was a website this morning that showed like 50 different newspapers from around the world talking about how it's a war on freedom.
On freedom of speech.
On the freedom of speech, absolutely.
I mean, because you have to be on your guard when someone just enters your workplace like that, storms in, does whatever. I mean, you had security there,
right?
But they did what they had to do to get past security, and I mean, it's just a sad story all around. No one went to work, expecting, for that to happen,
and they value their, and let's face it, there are cultures and there are countries where freedom of speech is pretty low on the totem pole.
Right. I mean, there are countries where media outlets are controlled by the government, for example.
Exactly.
So.
And look at in North Korea, where they barely even. I mean, you have to be like an official, get the official stamp of approval from the government just to even be on the internet. And then they're going to control what you can see on the internet.
Right.
But France has the same rich tradition that we do of freedom of the press. So that really struck right at the.
And it's interesting because, like, France also, I think I was listening, again, to some news source that said France, of all the European countries, actually has the largest Muslim population of all of them. Mm-hmm. And I think it is that, like, when you have a large concentration of people, there are going to be some bad eggs in the pile, I guess, if that makes, it's just like you to have the it's hard, I think.
Well,
and it's unfortunate because it's like you see that situation, and it is, one of the things I was pointing out yesterday. They spoke perfect, fluent French. They were French,
That's right.
They were French resident. I mean, they lived there.
Yeah, I guess they came in and actually asked somebody on the maintenance crew for directions. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear this.
On where is this office? I mean, they thought they had the right area, but they literally asked somebody, "Hey, is this it, or is that?"
While they were all clad in black. Or maybe like earlier, like in the week, in terms of research.
No, I got the impression it was
that day.
On that day. So anyway.
Well, that is. That is an unfortunate story. Obviously, we're going to have updates on that. We're going to have updates on President Obama. Yeah. Lots of coverage on the Fox 10 News. Noon is currently happening right now. We're obviously going to have more updates in the evening at 5 and 6, and. As soon as anything breaks, we'll have it for you guys here on Fox 10 News. Now, Ron, thanks for joining me. It's so fun having you up here. We were up here for 2 hours and 2 minutes, almost 2 hours and 3 minutes officially.
Okay,
so great having you here.
Thanks,
I really appreciate that. And viewers, thanks so much for joining us and watching. As always, if you want to stay updated on everything we have, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Fox10Phoenix. And I will see you guys next time.